Hi and welcome to cheekyricho Cooking's Veal Goulash. This is a delicious hearty winter meal. The ingredients are in the recipe box below, so let's get started. We've actually, instead of using individual spices, we've actually bought Hungarian Goulash mix, which has got all the spices and paprika and whatnot already added to it, and we're going to be using a generous amount of that. We're also throwing in a potato, which isn't strictly authentic, but it's really freezing cold and pouring rain here at the moment, and that's just going to give our goulash a little bit more body. We've made our own homemade beef stock with the bones that we got from our beef, and we're just going to brown our beef off with some butter. Generous amount of butter. We're going to be using the Tefal Cook4Me because it's just so fast. On the manual function, on the browning, we're going to melt that butter. That pan is already a little bit warm because we actually made our stock in it just recently. We're going to throw our beef in there and give it a good brown. Chop the rest of our vegetables, and this will be coming together in a matter of moments. Just cut our vegetables roughly. I'm using a red onion because I bought a great big bag of them. I've really got to use them before I waste them. But brown onions would be good for this. These are really quite sweet, so we're not going to be adding any sugar to this dish, but if you're using brown onions, a teaspoon or so of sugar wouldn't go astray. We're also using red capsicum, and they are very sweet on their own. I'm going to use a whole red capsicum or bell pepper, chop it up roughly and remove the seeds. I also like to remove that white stuff that goes on the inside there because I find that can make it a little bit bitter. Just roughly chop our cloves of garlic as well. This is going to cook for long enough for this to actually break down, so you don't have to make it too small. You can crush this with a fork with a bit of salt if you wanted to really mix the flavour through, but the flavour is going to be released because in the pressure cooker or in the Tefal Cook4Me, the flavour is infused through everything pretty well under pressure. Okay, you could use oil if you like, but I'm going to use butter because I like the flavour that it gives it. And we're just going to pop our veal in there and brown it in our butter. Quite an economical dish. This is just like 500 grams or so of veal, and we want this to brown nicely, so we've got it on the browning function. Okay, this is cooking quite nicely. We're going to add our goulash mix now. Normally you would toast the spices, and this is going to do pretty well the same job. Infuse those pieces of meat and also flavour that butter. We're going to send in our little potato now. It's only a small potato just to give it a little bit of body. Our onion goes in next. That is smelling pretty fine. The spices are starting to release their flavours. Give it a good stir around. We're also going to fry off our tomato paste to get rid of that raw sort of flavour that tomato paste has. And you can see it's just starting to fill up the little grooves in the bottom of the pan. Don't worry, that will be released once we add the rest of our liquid ingredients, which you need to do because this is a wet method of cooking. Okay, pretty happy with that. Now that's been cooking for about 5 minutes so far, and now we're just going to add our tomato paste, stir that all around as well. We're not adding our garlic at this stage because it will burn and it will become very bitter because it's really quite a high heat here, and our capsicum will release too much water because they're really quite a wet vegetable, and that will dilute it and you will lose the browning effect. So once this is browned off a little bit more, we'll add the remaining ingredients and close the lid. Okay, I wish you could smell this now. The aromas are absolutely amazing. I can just imagine those flavours being forced into all of those vegetables and that succulent meat. In with our garlic now, our bell pepper or red capsicum now. Give that a stir all around. Our beef stock. At the completion of cooking, we are going to reduce this down, so don't worry about the amount of fluid in there at the moment. That's just going to contribute to the sauce. But what it is actually doing, it's quite diluted at this stage. You don't have to add tomatoes if you don't want to because there's plenty of flavour there. This is going to make it a really hearty, flavour-filled dish, and we adore tomatoes in cooking. So that's all you've got to do. Now we're going to send it to the quick cooking function for 15 minutes. So just finish the browning, okay, and now we're going to go to quick cooking function, okay, bolt the lid and give it 15 minutes. Immediate start, off we go. Okay, after 15 minutes, this is what you should have. It's really quite soupy. We've put it onto the browning function, and that's going to reduce the moisture out of that, but there's plenty of meat and vegetables in there, and of course plenty of the sauce. It smells divine. We're just going to give it a taste test. It needs a little bit of pepper and a little bit of salt. We're serving this with some spätzle, which is like a boiled homemade egg noodle, and that's ready to serve. Okay. Big chunks in there. Turn that off. Okay, now we're just going to serve it with our hot buttered spätzle homemade noodles. I showed you in a different video. And there you have it. Cheekyricho's veal goulash with spätzle. Now I'm not going outside in the rain to pick some parsley, so I've just got some celery leaves here for a little bit of garnish, and that'll give it a nice bit of flavour as well. Have a little taste, shall we? Okay, this yummo. It's really, really hot. That's the only problem. Yum, yum, yum. Thanks for watching.